just had a little Canadian moment of motorists being too polite, where I was just waiting, the little red man that says "Do not cross." So I was just waiting for him to become the little green man, and some dude stopped and was like gesturing, like, "Go ahead, cross." But the other way was like a truck coming down the street, and it's like, no, dude. I'll just wait for the little green man. It's fine. So, I mean, that's the exact same complaint I had in Canada. Motorists of the world, any country, anywhere, if you think you're helping, you're not helping. Don't stop. Just go. Just follow the traffic signals and everything will work a lot better. Because even in the event that you are stopping to let someone pass, and it works, still now I gotta hurry across the street in front of an idling car. Why would I want to do that? I can wait 30 fucking seconds and just walk leisurely when the little green man tells me to walk. Don't try to help, cars. You're not helping. Just go. Just fucking go. I fucking hate cars. So yeah, unexpectedly starting off on the wrong foot. It's just that just happened, so why not bring it up? But yeah, now that I've got my own little apartment to myself, instead of the previous Airbnb that was, like a million bunks all packed in together, I'm out at the edge of Itabashi, not that far from the Arakawa River, which is the prefecture break to Saitama. So I'm pretty much as far north as you can get in Tokyo. So it's a lot more relaxed, a lot more just a random neighborhood. So yeah, I got this little apartment. So I was like, cool. Now I can spread my wings a little at the local convenience store. They're not all 7-Elevens here. There's a few Family Marts, but I have seen no Lawsons at all. So I feel like maybe that initial feeling I was getting that there were less Lawsons, I think it's true. It's definitely less guaranteed than the other two. If you go to some random neighborhood. In my informal study, it's either all Lawsons or no Lawsons. But yeah, I figured I'd get some, you can get like little rice sticks wrapped in seaweed and just, wasabi flavored peanuts. I got some freeze-dried squid tentacle, which, man, that stuff gets stuck in the teeth. I gotta floss right after I eat that stuff. But it's all stuff that just from, I remember there was this one manga called Shortcuts. It was like a 4-panel gag comic. It was really good. But one of the things that happened in it was this guy's 50-year-old dad got transformed into a hot idol, like a hot teenage girl, but he still acted like a 50-year-old dad. And I remember that was the thing. He'd always be walking around the house in his underwear with just a towel around his shoulders, eating dried squid or dried octopus or dried whatever, and drinking a beer. So I was like, I'm gonna be that guy. I'm gonna be the middle-aged Japanese guy. And there's always the one section that has the dried shredded fish and stuff. The sort of most traditionally weird to North Americans, quote unquote weird, stuff that you just would never see at a convenience store anywhere else. And I'm starting to like it. I don't know, I should just keep at it. Just keep buying stuff till I find one I don't like. I mean, they're very fishy. It's a bit of a weird thing to just snack on to our palate, but it's not bad. But the one thing I didn't get was the beer, because the sun was on its way down, and I'm always, like I've said in previous episodes, I'm weirdly disconnected from my own body. I get like kind of overexhausted and stuff without realizing it. So that day I felt fine, but something in me was like, I don't think you want a beer. I don't think that's what you need right now. Get a coffee. Get one of those little weird bitter espresso coffees. Go ahead. Oh, and I also got just like some bentos now. Now that I got a fridge and a microwave, I can get like the whole platter of stuff. Although I got to admit, I don't think they're that great. Everything, it's like so cheap to get like an onigiri or something. When you get the whole bento from 7-Eleven, it ain't that great, and it's like $5, $5.50. It seems like a big price jump for something that's not that impressive. But yeah, even with that coffee in me, I got hit with another wave like I did the other day of mega tiredness, this kind of tiredness that I rarely ever feel, where it was only like 6:30 or something. And I just like closed the lid on my computer and it was like, I'll be right back, computer, but I just got to go lie down. And then I fell asleep till like midnight. And I woke up and messaged a couple people because it's a good time to social media since it's noon back home. But then I fell back asleep and woke up at like 7 in the morning. And it's just like, whoa. And I wish after all that sleep, I wish I could say I felt super rested, but the same way I can't really tell when I'm tired, I can't really tell when I'm rested either. I felt about the same. But I wonder, just trying to sort of theorize based on random personal evidence that has no basis in anything, is when I visited Japan before, it was very early summer. And I still spent quite a bit of time walking around at night because Japan's so beautiful at night. It looks amazing at night. Night is half of the, it's like two different trips at once. You get the daytime version and the nighttime version. And they're both really cool in their own ways. But since it was day for so much of the day, I was often walking around at 2 in the morning. That happened all the time. That hasn't happened at all here because it's dark by 6. So I get to have my taste of darkness, and by 8 or 9 at night, it's been plenty dark. I got to walk around in the dark, see all the pretty lights. I don't need to stay up all night anymore. So I wonder if last time maybe I was staying sort of more in line with my normal sleep cycle from back home, where this time it feels like my body is really pushing me to adapt. Like maybe the jet lag's really hitting me. I was just like, nah, dude, it's dark as hell out there. Just go to bed. Wake up at 7 in the morning. And it's like, yeah, actually, I don't hate this. I could get used to this. I rarely get to be the guy who wakes up early in the morning if all I got to do is go to a literal 12-hour time difference to make that happen. That's not so bad. So I got up way early in the morning and figured today is the day I would do some podcast editing, because that's one of those weird things I've heard. I can't remember who said it, this weird quote about writing that was like, I don't enjoy the process of writing, but I like the feeling of having written, like the person liked it when it was done but didn't like doing it. I don't feel that way about writing. I don't really care about writing being finished. I like the process of working on it. But podcasts are the exact opposite. It feels really neat to have a podcast done and have a little trail of podcasts go behind you. But the actual act of sitting down and editing a podcast is a pain. And because I so charmingly record while I'm walking around a loud, random world, it's kind of a lot of editing. Just to get this shit-ass podcast that sounds all fucked up, you'd be surprised how much editing it takes to make this not just an unlistenable cacophony of fucking noise and nonsense. So I was like, all right, I'm up early. I can hang out in this little apartment, do some work, quote unquote, some podcast work, still have plenty of day left to go do something. So I was just gonna hop around the corner to the nearest drink machine to get some drinks. But when I got there, I realized I didn't have enough coins. I had to go break a bill. So I had to go find a 7-Eleven. And I've got 2 phones. I've got like my real shit phone that I just listen to like music and podcasts and stuff on. And then I got my pretty good phone that's like a Google Pixel whatever. It's not the new model. I still got it cheap, but it's like a real phone. So that's the one that I use for maps and stuff. But I didn't bring that because I thought I was just going around the corner. And it's amazing how, went to 7-Eleven, got some stuff. So I still have a map, but I do not have the blue dot on my crap phone. it took me back to what it was like when I visited here in 2019. Even though I was only a few minutes away, it's like, holy jeez, I'm instantly lost. I don't know how to get back. And it was fine, it all worked out. But dude, the little blue dot, having the GPS in your phone, it is worth it. It is a worthwhile thing to have. I mean, obviously I did fine last time, everything worked out. But I think a big part of that was because before, I could stop at every convenience store, hop onto their free Wi-Fi, and through the Wi-Fi, then I could get the magical blue dot of like, where the heck am I? But now that public Wi-Fi is way, way, way less prevalent, like way less, it cannot be counted on at all. I would definitely say if you're coming to visit Japan, I mean, presumably everybody's a bit higher on the technology curve than me. Everybody's got a phone with GPS in it that shows them the little blue dot of where they are. But if you don't have it, get one. I mean, that Google Pixel, I got it for like $60. You can get phones nobody else wants. It's not a big problem. But yeah, it's Japan is so confusing. I just couldn't believe how fast I got lost. It took minutes, and I was like, oh, geez. I also did some research about my weird shower with the cold water. And it turns out I've got a system that was popular in the 70s, because this is just a really old house, where it's like a gas-powered water heater connected to the shower. So the modern Japanese stuff, it's like electric, I guess. I don't really know for sure how stuff works, but where you can set specific temperatures and just press a button to fill the tub and all this cool stuff. Where this article I found was like, yeah, stuff was like between the 70s and the early 90s, this was pretty common. But even a lot of people in Japan now, if they move out of home or whatever, and they move into a crappy apartment to go to school or something, they might bump into this and not be familiar with it or how it works. And even with the little guide on YouTube and stuff, I just couldn't, I don't understand how gas stuff works. Because we've just never done that anywhere I've lived in Canada. I guess I did have a stove, or an oven, a stove top in New York that was gas powered. You had to do the little click, 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 and then it would light a little flame under the burner. But I really didn't cook much, if at all, in that apartment. So I still had very little experience with that. And I just don't understand it. I just don't know internally what's going on. I have no sense for like gas, like when is it dangerous? You know, if you leave the gas on, exactly what happens? Am I gonna blow everything up? You know, that was my main concern, is just trying to figure out if I had the gas turned on or off, because I was like, you know, even if I just don't do this, if I'm just okay with cold showers for the next few days and I just don't care, I just got to make sure at least I'm not leaving the gas turned on, right? Does that matter? I mean, it's obviously better off. I don't even know. I don't know enough to even know what's dangerous. So I just wanted to make sure it was off. So I at least figured that out for sure. But yeah, the part where it would do the little pilot light, tick, 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 and it's supposed to ignite, I guess, and then heat up the water, it just isn't working. But it was like, whatever. Again, I just don't care. Like this morning at 7 a.m., the idea of a cold shower seemed a little suspect, but I just took one at like 2 in the afternoon. No problem. I mean, it was a little chilly, but as the day warmed up, again, it's just no big deal. If you just think of these apartments as like, as cottages, you know, if you're out camping. Maybe by modern apartment standards, they're a little strange, but by camping standards, they're fine. They're actually pretty sweet. But speaking of that, I was also looking at, you know, like I always read the reviews of Airbnbs just to make sure things aren't super terrible. But then it all kind of blurs in my brain. So it's kind of neat sometimes once I've been to a place to then go look at the reviews again, now that I've been there and I actually understand the place. And all the reviews were really good for this place, except one guy who had a bee in his bonnet. I don't know, you can always kind of tell. if there's just one review where the guy seems to have all these weird problems and every other review is great, you can assume he's an outlier. But it is funny how people will kind of couch their language, or like if they feel good about the place, but there were problems, you know, they are careful how they bring it up. Like the one that I always think of is I stayed at this place in Vancouver where it just smelled like cat piss. It's just ridiculous. That's a story for another time. But I was like, how did the reviews not bring this up? And I looked back at them and they sort of did, you know, they found these weird little ways to kind of bring it up and not fully bring it up, where in that case they should have just brought it up. It was like, what's going on here? But in the case of this apartment, it would be stuff like, you know, because it's an old house, wooden frames and everything, just the climate of Japan, you might get some little visitors, is the way the person put it. That person's review is actually kind of cool because they stayed for an entire month. And they were saying how, yeah, like the hosts got us a little table so we could work from home. We lived here for a month, it was cool. But because, you know, just the way Japanese houses are, it's, you know, it's partially, it's like you're outside when you're still inside a little bit. You might get some little visitors. Although they did say like, oh, although that's not always bad, you know, we had a really pretty moth come into the apartment. So there was only one person, the person who had the bee in their bonnet, but they did bring up this one true point of that there was a cockroach on the little bath mat in front of the washroom. And I did also see a cockroach in that exact same spot, which is just funny. It's like, it's right in front of the, like, as you enter the place too. It's like the little welcoming, like, hello, I'm the cockroach here to welcome you. I wonder if they like the moisture, I guess. I don't know really anything about cockroaches either. It's a running theme in this podcast, how I don't know anything about anything. But yeah, I mean, that's the only one that I saw, and I did realize that, I don't know if it came in from the outside or how, again, with old houses, and people keep bringing up the wooden architecture, but I don't know how that's relevant exactly. I don't know if it came in from outside or if it's inside somewhere. But I did have pretty much all the windows and sliding door by the patio. I just had everything open. You know, I was like, yeah, let's just get air flowing through. Why not? And I realized, well, maybe I shouldn't have everything open. But yeah, it definitely didn't seem like a big deal because this place really is just immaculately maintained. So I feel like that's just the price of doing business in a warm climate like this, you know? I feel like this is different from bed bugs. Bed bugs are like, oh, this sucks. Cockroach, it's like, well, who am I, the king of fucking Canada? I deserve to never. I mean, I think I was just saying that in the previous episode. Like, you know, I like this about Japan, that it's like indoor and outdoor, blends the two. You're one with the outside world. Well, you can't say that and then get upset about an insect being in your house. But I just thought I'd bring it up because, you know, if you do happen to be listening to this and you haven't been to Japan, you know, just what to expect. Especially if you're in an older place, that could totally happen. But yeah, because I spent all day inside doing computery stuff, it's a little later in the day. Well, it's like 3 o'clock now, so I got a solid couple hours left before it gets real dark. So I thought I would just go to Naka Itabashi because it's it's a very small neighborhood and there's literally nothing there. There'd be no reason to go ever, except that it's where I first stayed when I first got to Japan. So no big long journeys. Probably still good to give my feet and stuff a little rest. Toward the end of all that walking I was doing at the last Airbnb, I did have a couple little moments on each foot where I felt like a little sting, a weird little sting in my foot. And it didn't lead to anything, but it's like I should probably pay attention to that. My feet aren't good. I have flat feet. I'm wearing things right now little rubber things around my big toes so I don't develop bunions. If I feel stinging in the feet, that's, take a day off on the feet thing. So, I had a pretty easy day yesterday, gonna have another pretty easy day today. I don't intend to run off anywhere. I think I'm literally just gonna hang out in this tiny little, because the way it's the part of the neighborhood I like, it's not that the neighborhood is necessarily so tiny, it's that there's just a little spot between the train station and the Shikuji River. And that specific little neighborhood is just where I just love it. I'm just gonna go walk around it. Go to the 7-Eleven that I used to go to every morning. I don't know if there's gonna be anything to report about that, if anything interesting is gonna happen, but I guess we'll see. Somehow I've still managed to yammer this long about nothing. I haven't done anything today. Well, here's something I can yammer about that it's already getting fuzzy in my brain, so maybe I better catch it now while it makes any kind of sense. As I was saying when I first got back to this neighborhood where I first stayed in Japan, there was this sort of weird sense that I was walking into a daydream, because during COVID times I would just kind of, especially at night to help myself go to sleep, I would just kind of walk the old neighborhoods of any city. It could be Vancouver, it could be Toronto, it could be whatever. But it was very often Tokyo and Fukuoka. Just like a little meditative way to help me fall asleep was just to walk my way through these old neighborhoods. So, as neat as it was just to visit Japan at all, suddenly having it just sort of the whole world shut down and then just using it as this little meditative practice, it sort of made it feel extra like a bit of a strange dream more than a real place. So I was noticing when I was in Sangenjaya, I'd be outside all day walking around Japan, and then when I got back, especially for the first 2 or 3 days, and I'd be tucked away in my little weird bunk in my little weird Airbnb, and it would be like the two things would be clashing a little bit, of like I would still have that feeling of like, oh yeah, the dream, the weird daydream place, those weird neighborhoods in Japan that are so awesome and I can't wait to go back to. But at the same time, I am back there. I've been walking around Japan all day. So partially, maybe it was just settling in, just letting my subconscious and my brain figure out that I was indeed back there. But then I also realized a bit when I got back to the actual neighborhoods that I'd been to before, that maybe that was part of it. Like I was at a place that was almost the same. It was mostly the same, but it wasn't actually the same. But yeah, then everything kind of came into alignment and it's like, oh man, amazing. I'm really here. But now I'm already starting to notice, I'm getting a little lost on the way to Naka-Itabashi. I'm almost there though. Now it's sort of normalizing. It's like, yeah, just walking around Japan. So I don't know, it's not extremely interesting. But just that phenomenon of like, you want the thing, and then when you first get the thing, it's like a little bit unreal. Then everything lines up just right, and then you sort of are just like, yeah, it's just my life now, it's just normal. But that's one reason I'm doing this podcast too, where the podcast is gonna take a lot longer to come out than the actual events. Because, it's I'm gonna start taking it for granted. Probably by the end, I'll be a little bit ready to go. That's how I felt last time. By the last, week in Japan, it's like, I have been here a pretty dang long time. Maybe this is starting to get weird. But then I'll be gone and I'll be like, shoot, I'm not there anymore. So the podcast is like the little ducklings trailing by behind me, that I can remember all these silly little days. Because I think that's what'll be cool, is that my memories were like pretty vivid of my first visit to Japan because the whole thing was such a unusual experience for me. But there's only so much you can remember. Where I'm gonna remember all these weird little days. So right here, for example, I'm approaching from a slightly unusual direction because I used to always just get off the train at Naka-Itabashi or maybe walk back from Oyama. Yeah, no, this isn't it. Because I was coming in from a different direction, there is an overpass, one of the train overpasses, with a 7-Eleven near it, and that was the first 7-Eleven where I ever bought booze in Japan, where I had a strong zero. Will I do that today? It's not dark yet. It should be dark for the full experience, but I think really what I want is probably just the lemon flavor of a strong zero. I should get one of those vitamin C lemon drinks. Because I was just saying, as recently as that might have been last episode, how shockingly drunk you can get from Japanese drinks. And that was only a 7% that I had. Strong zero is a 9%. So I probably don't want that, just because I want a little bite of like, some lemon taste. And you get that fun little zing of like, booze. But then I gotta walk home like that. I probably don't want to do that. But it's a moot point. That wasn't the right spot anyway. I had this idea that I would just like go on weird pilgrimages back to all the old neighborhoods I'd already been to and just redo some of these things that I wish I had done a podcast about the first time. But that hasn't really happened, and I don't know how much I will do that because it seems a bit weird, a bit of a weird thing to do. It's gonna happen for sure in Fukuoka because I wanna go hike the mountains, and I don't need to get too wild with the mountains. I wanna stay more or less on routes that I know that won't lead to me getting lost in the woods and killed by wild boars. Geez, though, I wonder, the blue dot, the magical GPS blue dot, I got pretty dang lost on Abureyama Mountain once, and I'm going to try to do that route again. But I mean, I never was actually that far from civilization. There was a highway like 15 minutes away or 20 minutes away from where I was. I just had to walk the right way. I used my amazing mountaineering skills of just walk down the mountain, follow a dry riverbed. It's got to lead somewhere, and it worked. But maybe the blue dot could have saved me. Man, it's amazing how confusing this is. I guess it's because the train cuts through the neighborhood diagonally. And the neighborhood is not exactly a grid to begin with. I just got to get to Naka-Itabashi and go from there. So yeah, I'm walking past the book off. That's the used bookstore. That's right by this station, full of the books I can't read. But I'm like, hey, there's the book off. Hey, there's the Family Mart where I get bananas and whipped cream in a crepe thing. And I just went to the 7-Eleven I used to go to every morning, and certainly wasn't bad. I got like a pork cutlet sandwich, and they've got these sandwiches. I'd forgotten all about these. That, you know, everything is sort of, not everything, but stuff in Japan, it's either super hardcore, like, just dried shredded fish parts, or it's like candy. Even the sandwiches are like candy. They're just white bread with all the crust cut off and stuff. But they have candy sandwiches, where the ones I had before were strawberry and blueberry. The ones I've seen around this time are, I don't see them a ton, but they're always orange. So maybe it's like seasonal. But it's the fruit, so orange in this case, and whipped cream on white bread with the crust cut off, and it's pretty fucking good. I'm really not sure which one is the best. I was thinking like, surely orange isn't as good as strawberry and blueberry, but then as I'm eating it, I'm like, seems pretty goddamn good to me. I think the best kind is just whichever one you're putting in your face at the moment, because they're all so goddamn good. So yeah, I got some stuff. I stood outside and I ate it just like I always used to. And yeah, it was all right. But I mean, I guess again, like I was saying, that shock of being back from a couple of days ago, that's worn off. But I knew this was going to happen also, because I was just thinking back to these nostalgia trips I've been on. Like I lived in Flushing, Queens from 2008 to 2009. And then in like 2010 2012 or 2013, I was back in New York, and I took a bicycle and I biked out there. Not all the way from like Manhattan, from like Astoria. And it was kind of cool. I was like, hey, there's the old apartment. There's that delicious pizza place I used to go to. Let's go get the... They made these like swirls. They were like cinnamon rolls, but with spinach. Man, they were good. But that was the best thing, really, was just getting the spinach roll again. Like, just seeing the stuff again. Just isn't, it's not relevant anymore. My friends don't live there anymore. I mean, really, I guess it was just cool because I was there. Just because I was there every day is what made it cool. Or the apartment I lived in Toronto. I mean, I lived there for like 4 years. 5 almost. So I needed an Airbnb in Toronto anyway. And I found one for like a week, literally across the street from the old apartment. And I was like, whoa, cool, Because my friends from those days, they all still live in the Toronto area, but a lot of them moved kind of outside of the city a bit to get proper houses, raise some kids, do all that stuff. So I was like, neat, I get to go back to the old neighborhood. But that one felt extra weird because I'd get up in the morning and walk out of the house and it was the same block and everything. And it's like, here we are, I'm here, but I'm seeing my morning routine from the reverse angle, from the 180 of how it was before. And there's just some other random people who live in my old apartment. And in fact, now I'm intimately aware of what's in this door across the street that I never thought about ever before. And now I know what that whole house is like. It was strange, just a strange feeling thing, not like some fun homecoming, but I mean, not terrible either. I don't mean to over dramatize it, but it just felt weird, just kind of an empty experience. So, I mean, I kind of knew that was going to happen here too. It's like, so I'm standing outside of the same 7-Eleven. Who the fuck cares? All this stuff, quote unquote, I'm seeing. Oh, there's the old drink machine. There's the old conveni. There's the book off. It's all the same stuff that's in every other neighborhood, I knew it wasn't going to be some weird, deeply meaningful experience, but I also knew I couldn't not do it. I got to still come back. It's still nice. It's still kind of cool to wander around here again. But in a way, I think I was kind of saved from myself, because I literally would have done the exact same route as last time. If I could have got all the same Airbnbs for the same amount of times in the same neighborhoods, I would have. Where already I learned about the giant gorilla in Sangenjaya and all kinds of stuff about the more central parts of Tokyo. And it's just going to go on. I got like 9 different Airbnbs. Even in Fukuoka, I tried to get stuff on the outskirts, but they're different outskirts, It's still an hour's walk away from my old Airbnb, and the other one's even further. But all this stuff is good. When I'm just, a year ago, daydreaming in Canada about going back to Japan, of course I was just daydreaming about all the places I'd already been. It's kind of lucky that like this Airbnb I'm at now, it's kind of handy that it was only available for a week, or the next one I'm going to. I got it in my head that I love Akigawa Station. I love the western side across the Tama River. I love that countryside area of Tokyo. But how much do I love it? I stayed there for weeks before, and that is this beautiful memory. But to go back there, I mean, there's literally nothing there. Whatever is there is exactly the same stuff that's here. There's convenience stores, there's drink machines, there's just a lot more fields and open space. Going back for a taste is plenty. So yeah, rescued from my own nostalgia goggles. But yeah, this is still nice. I think maybe tomorrow I'm just walking along the river. Tomorrow I'm going to do the full run that I keep talking about, from here to Oji to Ikebukuro. But again, last time I was here, I did this run every couple of days. I did it a bunch of times. I would just wander randomly around this area, but that's the point, right? I already did that. I can do it one more time just for the fuck of it, but even a place like Ikebukuro that's really big, it's like my favorite of the major neighborhoods. But I never buy anything. I don't have room in my book bag to buy stuff. So what am I actually going to do there? Like I would just do dumb shit. Like as you cross from the west side to the east side, there's an underpass that goes under the train line. And if you hang a left right there, there's just this area where people just hang out and smoke. And I would just go hang out there and do writing on my phone and stuff. It's just a cool place to hang out. The people feeding homeless cats and stuff. It's like, okay, that's kind of cool. Why would I want to do it over and over? When I was fantasizing about coming back to Japan, I guess I had a lack of creativity. Even that I am just going to Tokyo and Fukuoka, the cities I already know. Thank God that my friend Brad was in Fukuoka doing his language course. So I even got that experience, because at least that gave me enough that I understand how to travel. You know, I figured out how to use Peach Air to get a cheap flight. And I mean, that kind of opens up everything. I could go anywhere, really. But it would be easy to never do that. It'd be very easy just to stay in Tokyo. There's plenty to do around here. So yeah, I suspect next time I'm going to be stretching my wings a bit. I'm also already pre-planning. I keep thinking of when I come back from Fukuoka, how I got this this capsule hotel for like 2 weeks right by the Sky Tree. And that's kind of a good example. The Sky Tree is a great memory for me because I walked there one night, just this epic long walk. Which I was like, should I do the epic long walk to the Sky Tree again? I mean, I might, but I've done so many epic walks already. I think I've taken some of the vim out of the idea of the epic walk. It doesn't get much more epic than, I mean, that walk I already did from Shinjuku to here. It's fucking long as fuck, dude. That pure experience of just walking through the endlessness of Tokyo, how it just will never end, is pretty great. But I already did it by accident almost. Oh man, here's a poster for, there's this all-women wrestling group called Stardom. And I only know it's that because I'm a wrestling fan, because there's no English here. Their champion, her name is Julia, and she's in the middle of this poster. Is there even a date on this? November 21st. I really don't think I'm gonna, because like, pro wrestling's weird. I'm a big pro wrestling fan, but to go to a pro wrestling show by yourself is a little tricky because they're always extremely long. It's a lot more fun if you go with your friends. You know, you can talk to them and shit. Not only would this be not with my friends, but probably not even with anyone I could communicate to at all. Yeah, generally my traveling is just to do nothing, and I think I'm gonna just probably stick with that. My traveling is to literally just travel, to just move around a place, not to do stuff, to go places. But yeah, I guess I will tell the story though of this Airbnb, because it's really, in hindsight, not surprising that it's not an Airbnb right now, that they decided that's enough of this, and they did not get it up and going again after COVID. Because I picked this place just because it was cheap. And I just, at the time I had a prepaid credit card, so it's just like, I could only run $1,000 through this card per day. So I just did that. I was like, how many days can I stay in Tokyo for $1,000? And then from there, I'll go to Fukuoka and meet my friend Brad. And at that place, it was 43 days, which was then 42 days because I got trapped overnight in Russia. Man, this is bringing back a memory where again, I'm just like, it seemed like that 7-Eleven where I got the Strong Zero was so close and so easy to get to. But I can't figure out where it is. I'm just kind of moseying and wandering, and it's like I could have swore it was right around here, but it's not. Tricky. Everything is so tricky. Oh man, yeah, so there's apartment buildings here that are 1, 2, 3, 4, only 4 floors high. I found an apartment building when I was going to the Arakawa River that was like 15 floors. It was enormous. Maybe not 15, but it was a lot. And it was like buildings encircling a courtyard. I kind of wandered in by accident. It was like, whoops, this is just the courtyard of a building. I gotta go back out. But if you ever read the comic Domu, A Child's Dream, it was by Katsuhiro Otomo, the guy who did Akira, but he did it before Akira, but it's a bit similar. It's just a psychic kid versus a psychic grandpa, and they have a battle in this big apartment complex, and it looked just like that. Like as soon as I got there and I looked up, I was like, whoa, Domu, holy crap. But yeah, it was quite strange that this one place was so cheap at the time, because all the places that still exist around here, there's still some, but they're all pretty pricey. So this place was real cheap, which again, I guess maybe just because they were trying to get established or whatever. But it was a room on the bottom floor that had 6 bunks, but they were real big, way bigger than the bunks at the place I just was. And that one tended to be, it seemed like people would rent the whole room, like if you wanted a whole room for families and stuff. So it was not often used, but when it was everybody. And there was a shower and a bathroom down there. Then upstairs was a bigger room with 10 bunks. And again, way bigger bunks and a way bigger room. So it was like a similar sort of situation to the Airbnb I was just at, but just with everything bigger. It was just comfortable. It didn't bother me to be there with all these people. It seemed fine. And then there were more showers and more washrooms. And it was pretty crowded because I didn't realize at the time it was Golden Week. I'd kind of heard of Golden Week where it's like a bunch of vacation days kind of put together. So I guess a lot of people in Japan use that time to go traveling and stuff. So I guess a lot of people who aren't from Tokyo were traveling into Tokyo and staying there, because it wasn't just foreigners, it was everybody. It was a big mix of people there. I don't know why I'm trying so hard to find that 7-Eleven, because like I said, I don't think I'm going to do the Strong Zero plan, but it's like, is it over there or is it this way? I'm just surprised how easily I'm getting lost again over and over all the time. But yeah, once this place cleared out, man, did it clear out. To the point that there'd be sometimes just like me and 2 other people, or sometimes just me and 1 other person, which was actually kind of weirder, because then it really is like you have a roommate, but you don't know who they are. It's just this one other person across the room from you in this complex. But a lot of the time I was there, it was just me. You know, people would show up on the weekends, but for most of the week, it would just be me, which again is obviously economically bad for them. I don't know why I'm surprised that that place isn't running anymore, because of course it isn't. Like, you can't make money when one fucking guy is like paying less than $30 a day to stay there. But it's a great example of how you just never know what's going to happen with Airbnbs. I assume if you're a high roller and you're spending big money on your Airbnbs, it's probably a lot more predictable. You probably get what's on the tin, you know, you're assured certain things. Where when you do what I do and you just get cheap stuff, you never know. Maybe it's going to smell like cat pee, or maybe it's going to be a 2-story building all to yourself. Because the staff even only showed up when they needed to change bedding and stuff when somebody new was coming in or somebody was leaving. Most of the time they weren't there. And what the hell is this? There's steps up to some kind of walking thing? I gotta go up there. How have I never stumbled upon this? What the fuck is this? But yeah, the staff usually wasn't there. So if there was stuff like how I was so dumb that I turned off the water on myself, didn't realize that I did it, or times when the internet would stop working, there was nobody around I could mention it to, but I just didn't bother to anyway, because like not having the internet for 2 or 3 days was fine. It was kind of nice. It was nice to wake up in the morning and not have the internet. That's a rare experience. It reminded me, it felt like it was the 90s. You just wake up and you just do stuff. You don't check anything because there's nothing to check. And then, you know, after 3 or 4 days, somebody would come in and they would reset it or whatever. But yeah, they'd change the door codes periodically and just send me a message. Hey, by the way, here's the new door code. So I'd just be walking around Japan, especially this neighborhood around Ikebukuro, just walking all the livelong day. Walk around till 2 in the morning, just soaking it in. Okay, these steps just go up to a street. I'm gonna go back down and try the other way. See if I can find that 7-Eleven. But yeah, it was wild because after spending the day walking around, come back here, 2:30 in the morning, everything's quiet and dark. go to this building, which I never really noticed at the time, but it's evident now. Now that I've had that taste of Shibuya adjacent life, that all the buildings around here are a lot older and a lot more weathered and a lot more run down looking, which I like. It's comfy. But that building I was in, it still, after 4 years of not seeing it, it still looks super duper fancy pants and brand new and spick and span. So I'd roll up there, I'd put in the little door code and walk in, and I'd be the only one there. I could pick which shower I wanted to use, first floor or second floor. I had one of the washrooms with the toilet seat up and one of the washrooms with the toilet seat down. So I didn't even have to change my toilet seat. I could just go to whichever washroom I wanted to use. And then there was a third wildcard washroom if I wanted that for some reason as well. Basically, I just had a 2-story building 4 stops away from Ikebukuro, all to myself for I think it was $26 a day. It might have been 27. Whatever 1,000 divided by 43 is. Suppose I could check, right? Got a phone. Holy fuck. Yeah, it was 23, 26, so under $24 a night. What the goddamn fuck? Because I was looking at places in this neighborhood and they're all $50, $60 a night. Shit. So just what a weird place, what an odd situation. I don't know what was going on there, but clearly it was not financially feasible. And when COVID hit, they were like, okay, nuts to this. It seems like they probably were going to say nuts to this well before. I was glancing too, how I glanced in the window yesterday, and it looked like there was just stuff stacked up in there, but no, it was some kind of a divider. So I really have no idea what's going on in there. Outside was a mailbox. Maybe it's just an apartment now. Maybe somebody just lives in there. But I guess that's the point, is to have a 2-story building to yourself in Tokyo, you either gotta be rich as fuck or poor as fuck. You know? The only reason I took that place is because it was so ridiculously cheap. And by doing that, I accidentally got the rich guys set up. I have a whole building in Tokyo, motherfucker. How rich would you have to be to just have a 2-story building that you just wander into sometimes? You know, it's not even where you live. It's just a place where you go hang out and crash sometimes. God damn, it was fucking good. But that's completely unrepeatable, again, unless you're super rich. Unless you just want to pay to have a whole place. But it's just so weird that I got it for that cheap. Even, I guess, in my mind, I had escalated how expensive it was because it's it has to have been, right? But it wasn't. Man, that shit was good. But that's not actionable advice or useful information, you know? There's really nothing you can do with that because you can't make that happen. I can't make that happen again. That was just lucky, but even that's a weird way to put it because it was lucky for me, very not lucky for the people running this place. Oh, that's gotta fucking be it. I'm walking along a train line. This sidewalk is sloping downward. Because we're right by the train, this road's gotta go somewhere, which presumably is the underpass I remember. And I see a 7-Eleven sign. If that's not it, I'll be a fucking monkey's uncle. That's gotta be it. So, yeah, I guess that's the story of Naka Itabashi. That's why I thought it was so cool. But as for someone else coming to visit here, I don't know that you're going to notice that it's any different than anywhere else. But that's kind of a good thing, too. I mean, the idea that even though the quote-unquote stuff I remember is a Family Mart and a fucking 7-Eleven, but the upside to that is... Oh, this is sneaky because I can't get directly to the 7-Eleven. If I hadn't spotted that sign from a higher vantage point, I wouldn't have realized it was there. I got to take a little detour around the block. But yeah, the upside to the sort of generic stuff that you can just expect to be in every Japanese neighborhood is that it does take away a bit some of the necessity of going to the expensive central neighborhoods. Again, I mean, there must be reasons why people go. There's probably all kinds of stuff people do in Japan that just based on what I was just saying about wrestling. It's like, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to sort that out. I'm not going to figure out how to do it. I'm probably just going to wander around. So who knows what people are doing? Going to karaoke, going to weird bars. Who knows what people do? The stuff that they do. But if you don't necessarily want to do anything neighborhood specific, if you just want to soak in the vibe, you can definitely come to these neighborhoods that are less expensive and still get all that stuff. Although, the more I think about it, I guess I just don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, because this neighborhood's not cheap anymore. That was the one cheap place, it's gone. I guess though, if you get further out, like where I am now, then it is cheaper. But there's less stuff available. I don't know. Anyway, now I'm seeing it. I'm walking down the street. There's the underpass. And yeah, I can't see the 7-Eleven. It's like invisible from this vantage point. It's just that I saw that sign. If I didn't see that sign from up the hill, I would never fucking know it's here. But this has to be it, dude. This has to be it. Damn, talk about tucked away. Who the hell laid out this, who decided to put a 7-Eleven here? Oh, okay. So there's the underpass. Fuck, this can't be it. Is this it? Oh, okay, it is it. I'm just coming at it from the wrong direction. That makes more sense. Okay, I did find it. This is it. On an auspicious return. Crying child. Just some people hanging out in the parking lot. There we go. Yet another place from my random daydreams. Where I just randomly daydream. I'd try to walk in my mind, and clearly I was getting it all fucked up. I didn't know how to actually get here. Like, oh yeah, I remember that 7-Eleven, and I just went there and I got that strong zero, and I just marveled at how much the one drink made me dizzy. Yeah, now that I'm here, I ain't doing that again. Nuts to that. In fact, I think I will do the opposite. I was kind of going a little easier on the coffees at the last Airbnb, so I wouldn't have to get up all night and pee. Now it doesn't matter. I got my own place. I can pee as much as I want. But yeah, sun's going down, so I figure it's probably good practice, just to get one more coffee. Once it's dark out, it's probably a good sign that it's no longer time to drink coffee. Yeah, now that I'm a little further down the street and I turn around, it's like, okay, yeah, now I can see it all. I can see the actual 7-Eleven sign, and I can see the underpass. All that stuff is there. Yeah, I just somehow came at it from the wrong angle. But there we go. There's the tale of Nakaitabashi. I think, too, we'll see how it goes, but I think I inadvertently came up with a travel hack, because my headphones shorted out, so they only work on the left. The right doesn't work anymore. So I was like, I could go buy some more. I always just get the Sony brand earbuds that are like $12, $15. And I've seen them around already, of course. Sony's Japanese, they're easy to find around here. But I've also got a backup pair in my luggage when I get back. But, even in these quieter areas, it's still good to be aware in Japan, aware of what's going on, not to, I don't think you're likely to get hit by traffic or by a bike, but you very much could get in someone's way and make them have to swerve out of the way of you. So it's good to be aware of what's going on. Don't be that guy. So I don't really listen to music while I walk around, unless it really is the middle of nowhere and there's just no one around, because I just don't want to be that oblivious to what's happening around me. But I figure if I listen to a podcast at a relatively low volume, I'm still hearing all the city sounds. That's not so bad. But I was thinking, for those purposes, maybe I should keep these headphones that are broken on one side, because I can still do that. I can still listen to a little podcast in one ear, and the other ear is extra aware of what's going on around me. It's like, this actually seems like a pretty good idea. It's a good thing to do. If I'm trapped in a crowded subway for an hour, and there's no reason to pay attention to my surroundings, when I just want to block them out to make the journey easier, then sure, plug in both them headphones. But in cases like this where I'm walking around and, there's just pedestrians and bicycles and scooters and some cars, and it's a lot less crazy than Senganjaya, but it still requires some alertness. I'm gonna stick with these headphones for a while, see how it goes. These broken headphones might actually be the perfect thing. Oh man, this is nice. The sun is halfway down. I just stopped in the middle of one of these bridges across this little local river. This is nice. Because I guess, yeah, even though that neighborhood is just a neighborhood, the river itself, this is quite unique. It's somewhat like some of the other rivers I walked down, but it's definitely got its own flavor. So I'm gonna do that probably next episode. And yeah, that's not, if this is a slightly generic experience, just wandering around a normal neighborhood, walking down the river is not. The river is fucking sweet. I love it. It is beautiful. Yeah, apparently this is a big cherry blossom viewing spot, which again, like I've said before, maybe it's better that I don't know what I don't know. I can't miss the cherry blossoms because I've never seen them. Yeah, I bet it's good. There's all kinds of trees lining this river. And when I say river, it's like one of those big ravine type rivers. Big concrete ravine with a bunch of little bridges crossing over it. And yeah, I guess we'll see how well I remember all that stuff, you know? Little Buddha statues and various combinis of different places and parks and different stuff. So join me next time for the fascinating tale of walking down the river. And then OG Station, holy balls, as you arrive down there, it's just so gorgeous. Then there's a cool park down there. Ah man, it's gonna be good. Yeah, I was just thinking if I do get one last coffee, I might as well get some kind of little dessert thing with it. The chilled desserts are my favorite for sure. Just these like crepes with custard and whipped cream and banana, and so good. But if I'm gonna do that, why not head back to that 7-Eleven where I bought cough drops from the debut episode of this podcast? Because I've actually never gone back in there before, and it's literally the first 7-Eleven I ever went in Japan. So yeah, let's do that to cap this adventure off. Make the, I was gonna call it the lukewarm nostalgia adventure, but that's not nice. It's not the area's fault, it's just the very nature of trying to go back and relive the past. It's a little bit of a, what's that saying? There's a French saying, but it's basically that it's about going back to a past love. And it's that going back to a past love is like reusing your coffee grounds. Like, you know, it still sort of looks like coffee and it sort of tastes like coffee, but everything vibrant and exciting about it is gone. It's like, oh man, that's harsh, but that's accurate. So this is kind of the neighborhood version of that idea. But all right, I don't need to record myself going into a 7-Eleven and eating whipped cream, so just assume it was amazing, and I'll see you next episode.